102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We are in part 2, and we are talking with now Ms. Candace Edwards, who is the current Cricket County Circuit Clerk. So good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So
Great.
let's talk about, first of all, give people some background of yourself. It's been a while since you've been here, so please tell people a little bit more about you.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'll start with my family because I just think they're very important to me. My parents, James and Nancy Gladwell. My dad was in the Army, so I was raised as an Army brat, traveled all over the country, lived in Germany twice. But Arkansas was always home. This is where we came for vacations, holidays. Anytime he wasn't working, we were back in Arkansas, Egypt, Arkansas, out at the farm. My husband, Tom, of almost 26 years now. It's amazing. We have 3 beautiful children. I have Timothy, who is 23.
Oh, wow.
Megan, who is 21, and Britton, who is 17. And my 23-year-old is married 2 years now to Claire Edwards, who we just adore. So I say I'm blessed to have 4 lovely children.
Oh, wow.
Teacher by trade. I taught. I'll kind of go into a little bit of story about why I wanted to run. That kind of tells you who I am,
Okay.
too. So, teacher by trade. Had somebody approach me about running for circuit clerk, and at first I was kind of like, oh, not me. Why would I do that? And so my husband and I got to praying about it and started really talking to God, and God said to me, Candace, you have been teaching, and your whole goal in teaching was to prepare the students to be prosperous citizens in the world.
Okay.
Who is preparing the world for them?
Okay.
He said, it's your time to step up. And so I did. Grew up in military, God, family, country. And so it was time for me to step up and serve, and that's what I did. And I'm telling you, God has laid this pathway for me that I would have never dreamed I would have been on, but it's absolutely amazing every day.
Oh, so how long have you been in this position?
This is my 4th year, so 3.5 years I've been in the position.
Okay, so was it a 4-year position when you first ran?
No, this is
Okay.
actually my 3rd election.
Okay.
So I've already won 2 2-year terms.
Okay.
And this will be the first 4-year term for all countywide positions.
Okay. So for those who may be asking, you've been in for a while and now you're going for your 3rd time, what are some changes you would like to make or see in the office?
In addition to what I've already done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, in addition to what I've already done, first of all, I want to continue the steps I've already started on. The big one that I foresee in the future is because we're e-filing, because we're e-recording, and we've stepped up that process. We've gotten our benches really deep to where we can work and work each other's jobs. I really want to start on back scanning.
Okay.
That is something that the office and the county has looked at for a long time, but it is very expensive. We've gotten quotes for well over $1 million to back scan all of our documents, and we have looked at other counties who, when they started e-filing, they were able to take some of their employees so that nobody lost their jobs, and they started back scanning, and we'll be able to do it for a fraction of the price. And so I want to take all of our old court records,
Okay.
all of our land records, deeds, mortgages, liens, anything that's been recorded on our land side, and I want to get that scanned in, get it preserved. A lot of our books are just in awful, awful shape.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that I keep our history preserved.
Okay. What other offices, what other government offices or position people will you work with in order to make these improvements or help streamline, your position?
Okay. Well, specifically with the back scanning, I'm going to work with County Clerk Cade Holliday. He has a lot of the same documents that I do. He has all of his probate court records. Also, we have where we file all the land and mortgage and deed records for the constituents in the county. Cade keeps all of the documents for the county,
Okay.
all the documents that they would keep. And so We want to make sure all that gets back scanned. Mr. Holiday and I have worked together. We have worked together in the process of e-filing for his court, and so we're going to continue to work on that. We're very excited. We started in September of last year, and we go 100%. That's kind of a misleading word, but 100% e-filing on September 5th of 2018, which means, quote unquote, all of our records will be e-filed. Now, I hope that everybody realizes that you're never going to have 100% e-filing. You're never going to go 100% paperless. Your average constituent who's going to come in and file one court case their whole life, they're not going to want to do the training to go e-filing. And so we have ways that we can still, if somebody's filing forma pauperis, which means that they have been approved by the courts to have no fees for anything, or if they're filing just on their own, we're still going to paper file that. And of course, if anybody walks into our office to file, we're not going to turn them away.
Okay. All right, so tell us more about what are some things that people can file in your office.
Okay, so I'll talk about the land side first, because that's what the average constituent is going to use. First of all, we have a list on the website that is a humongous list, and a lot of people get glassy-eyed when you start talking about it, and they're like, oh, I don't know what that is. But we do all mortgages. Anything that you do with purchasing a house, whether it be a mortgage or a deed or just a quitclaim deed, which means you're signing it over to somebody in your family. We have warranty deeds. We have any kind of deed. We had one filed yesterday where a lady is going to deed her house over to her daughter, but she wants to keep it until she passes away. And so we file that kind of deed. Anything that you want to file. I like to say, and I don't like to say sometimes, but based on the law, we have standards that we have to meet for filing. Those standards are like 2 inches at the top. Has to be 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Has to be legible. It doesn't say what has to be on that paper. So I always say you could bring in a piece of paper into the office that says the sky is blue. And if you want to pay $15 to e-record that, we'll record it for you. You know, but anything that you want to keep, that you want to make sure is a legal document that you can keep forever. Now, it still can go to court and be questioned whether it's a legal document, but anything that you want to preserve or keep forever can be filed in our office. One form that I feel very strongly about, talking about my military upbringing, is the DD-214s. Those are the discharge papers for our veterans. We keep those in our office. Now, they're under lock and key. They're hidden. Nobody can get to them because those are very confidential. But for a veteran to be able to get services after they leave the military, whether it be a VA loan, whether it be go back to school with a VA, with the veterans, or we don't like to talk about it, if you want a military funeral. Anything that you're going to want that you deserve because you have fought for our country, you have served, then that DD-214 you have to have. And we know we live in Tornado Alley, and unfortunately things happen. We have floods, we have tornadoes, and your DD-214 can be lost or damaged. And if that happens, you can get a copy from the federal government, but we all know, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen quickly. And if you have a loved one who passes away, or you want a loan and you're going to lose your interest rate, you need to have that quickly. And so you can come to our office. We'll get you a copy of it. We stamp it. It's just as if you had the original. And you can get anything you want with it. We also know that sometimes people put things away and they know exactly where they put it. And then they go to find it, and they know it was a great place to put it, but they can't find it. And so we can help out in that situation too. And keep those filed with us, and we keep those. And like I said, anytime that we seal something, it's as if it's an original document for any court of law or any federal office that you would need that for.
So let's talk about the role you play within the court system. So what do you actually go to court, sit through the cases? What do you... For those who may not know, what does a circuit clerk actually do?
I do actually go to court. And court is where a large majority of my time is spent. We do felony court, so we do criminal court. We do civil court. We do domestic court, which is your divorces and child custody mostly. And then we also do juvenile court. And we have court every day of the week. It's very rare that we don't have court. We have 7 courtrooms in Jonesboro and 1 courtroom in Lake City. And it is very common for us to have court in almost every courtroom, if not all of them. And so we're constantly going from court to court, trying to get to where we need to be. Now, the places that we're required to be in court right now is all criminal court.
Okay.
So anytime they open the doors for criminal court, I have a clerk in there or myself. And then anytime there's a jury,
Okay.
we're in charge of getting the jury there, keeping the roll, making sure that they're prepared, supplying them pens, pencils, food, anything they need while they're there.
Okay.
That is our responsibility. And we take them from the time that we call them to the time I hand them off to the bailiffs for when they start actually deciding guilt or innocence, guilt or innocence. And so that's a big part is court. That's why I'm able to be here today, is because this is criminal court week.
Okay.
And we were very efficient yesterday in court. We finished about 4:30 and did not have anything planned today in the courtroom because we thought we were going to need 2 days. Now, Wednesday's going to be crazy, and Thursday we have another jury trial. But because we don't have any criminal court today, I was able to step away and do my lunch early. So.
Okay. All right, so let's transition a little and talk about, we know that city has a budget and you have to make sure some things are paid in a timely manner, make sure the right things are being taken care of.
Yes.
How do you, if you're elected going forward, what are some ways that you would like to either try to save the city and county money, just make things more efficient and making our money, the taxpayers' money, work for them?
This is a great question. I get this question a lot, and I think that most people already know that there have been some situations with my budget, also with some issues with things getting paid on time. There's been problems. We're going to take responsibility for what our office was responsible for. We have been blessed. I'm going to just address the credit card situation real quick. We've been blessed that we were able to go back through the credit card statement and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. We found where we thought we had been reimbursed for a charge, and we were not reimbursed. And so I've been able to contact that company. They are going to reimburse that charge as well as any finance charges that would have went through it. I agree, we should have caught that. It was not caught. It was during a time that I had my surgery, that I was out of work. We were also transitioning accounts payable to another person in my office. There's no excuse for it, but I do want to tell you the reason that it happened. What we've done since then, we also had issues with timeliness. It seemed to us that it was taking a very long time from the time the bill left our office to the time the check was getting cut. I cannot tell you where that bottleneck was because it is a multi-office process. And so I don't know where that was. So what we've done is we've started keeping more anecdotal records ourselves, and also just making sure that we make note of when do we turn it in, date and time that we turn it in from ours, and to when we can find out when the check was cut. And so we can keep better records of that. Again, I hate that happened, but it did happen, and it's made our process better. I think it's going to help us to make sure everything gets paid in a timely manner. Budget-wise, I kind of addressed that. We've had a situation. I don't want to make a real long story out of this, but before I took office, Craighead County Circuit Clerk's office had given $1.5 million to County General. Now, I think that is absolutely awesome. I want us to support County General. The problem is that when I came into office, I had $90,000 to run the office. On an office that was budgeted at $900,000 and had been overspending by $200,000 to $300,000 a year. And so we had to really get tight with our money, cut corners. My budget last year was $960,000, I think. I only spent $740,000. When I did my budget, they said, you spend all you need to spend. We'll cover it up. We'll take care of it. Well, when I say cover it up, I mean they will take care of it, clean it up at the end of the year. Anything that you don't spend, we're going to take money out of County General and we're going to put it in there. I can't live that way. On my own checking account, if I don't have the money, I'm not going to spend it. It just doesn't work that way. And so I refused to purchase anything that I didn't have the money for. Unfortunately, we had payroll. Our people still have to get paid. And so throughout the year, they did have to transfer $90,000 from County General into the Circuit Clerk's office. But that's included in the $740,000 that I spent. And so we budgeted for that. We knew that it was going to happen, but I just couldn't overspend anymore. There were things that we needed in the office that we didn't get. We just did with what we had, and we worked it out. This year, quorum court stepped up, and I think they've helped me to budget more adequately. County General is actually covering part of it.
Okay.
When people say that, they're like, why is County General covering your office? Well, the way that our office was set up is we have two parts of the office. We have the land recording side and we have the court side.
Okay.
On the land recording side, we have the recorder's cost fund. And that money comes in and that is set aside to pay for the recorder's section of the office.
Okay.
We're estimated to bring in about $748,000 this year. So that's great. The court side, we make $0 and we actually expend a lot more. And everybody thinks, how does that happen? We have to pay to open a court case. Well, we get $165,000 for a court case to open. Then we send $110 to the state. Then we send another $10 to the state, which makes it $120. Then we send another $10, that's $130, and then we spend another $25 to the state. Anyways, by the time we send all the money to the state, we've sent the whole $165 to the state.
Okay.
So we make absolutely no money on the state. So we were running our office on the recorder's money, which is why we are in the situation that we're in now, because our books are in disrepair. Our software was not up to date.
Okay.
Because we were not spending the money the way it was supposed to be.
Okay.
The way that law allows it. Because we're supposed to set 25% of that to pay for technology. And that's not so that we can have the best of the best and have, all this technology. It's so that we can keep our records the way that they're supposed to be.
Okay.
And I hope that we've learned through this process that we have to make sure that we can't just look to the future, but we also have to take care of what happened in the past.
All right. So when it comes to going back to when you said that there was some hiccups because once you were out of work for a little while,
Yes.
Do you want to increase the training on the other individuals in the office in case that happens again?
Well, it was not a training issue.
Okay.
What happened is we changed our software.
Okay.
And because we changed our software, unfortunately, we went from Fiddler to Fiddler, same company, but we were on iDoc, which I know that means nothing, but it was very antiquated.
Okay.
And it did not meet legislative audit for us to pass. And we were told that if we did not update, we were not going to be able to pass audit this year.
Okay.
And so we went through the process, we updated to Avid. And through that process, when we went to run our end of the month reports, it said we brought in $1 million in 1 month. And we knew that wasn't right. And so we were working with that company to get that straightened out. I was also in the process of training somebody to take care of the money. And so that was, those are two situations. It wasn't because we didn't have the training.
Okay.
Our office has gone through just an enormous amount of training this last year. I was able to work it out through our contract where Fiddler, our land recording Avid software, they came to our office for 6 weeks, was in our basement, in our training center, which I have created,
Okay.
and trained us here, no expense to the county. And so we were able to have that training, brought in the clerks from the Eastern District, had somebody go out there. There was no interruption in the flow of business.
Okay.
And then also with e-filing, same happened. The state came here, my training center in the basement, and they used that room to be able to train us for e-filing. And actually, District Court is using my training center as we speak to work on, because they're going on Context, which is a court software system, so they're using the training room because they like our setup and they were very excited to, and I'm very happy to let them use it. So.
All right, so in our last few moments, just want to ask, as we ask everyone, if you're elected, you mentioned a lot of changes that you would like to make. Will people have access to you?
Absolutely. That, just as that they've had access to me the last 4 years, they can come in and speak to me anytime unless I'm in court.
Okay.
And obviously the judge doesn't like it when you come up there and interrupt the court system. But you can email me. Or my employees email me and they'll let me know. They'll come up and get me out of court so that I can come down to speak to somebody. We also keep our phones next to us. We do that to contact. The judges will have us contact people while they're on the bench, so we keep our cell phones so we can text people. And also the office can stay in contact with me. And if there's somebody who needs to talk to me, they'll call me out of court. Somebody will come and cover for me. And absolutely, I will be, 100% see me out in public. I get that all the time. I know every profession gets this, but people will come up to you and go, I hate to ask you a question about work, but. And so, get that all the time. I actually had a phone call Saturday and said, I'm sorry to bother you at home on a Saturday. I'm like, that's okay. And they had a question about a house that was going to be foreclosed on, and they wanted to know when the sale was going to be and how much they needed to bring. That's another service that we do, foreclosures in the courtroom.
Okay.
In the courthouse, it's normally on that first floor or second floor. The main floor, when you come in, that building's a little confusing, as a lot of people don't know where the first, second, and third floor is, because it depends on what door you come in.
All right, so we want to thank you, Ms. Candace, for joining us today, and we have to let everyone know that KLEK does not support or endorse any particular client. No compensation was given for this interview. We just invited Ms. Candace and other candidates to come on to talk about their position, what they're running for, and where they stand. So we hope that you take this information and use it when you go to the polls. We can't tell you who to vote for, but we advise you to vote. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Have a
You're
great
listening
day.
to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.